guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Lirata Faith Makhabane and this is my YouTube channel. But in this channel, you guys are gonna call me the breathing diamond. I'll actually elaborate further throughout the year why I call myself that. But for now, I've been planning to share my pregnancy journey with you guys, but then before Mother's Day, but then for some reasons I was way too occupied and therefore I couldn't. Sorry guys, angazi ukuthi ngibiza lento yini, but guys, no one is here to capture me. So yeah, this is the least I can do. So yeah, so I wanted to share a story about my pregnancy journey, but then only the initial stage. For today's video, I only want to share the initial stage. Sorry, I got disturbed. From the moment I got pregnant, just the initial stage and what my reaction was towards getting pregnant and stuff, finding out that I was pregnant and all that. So yeah, anyways, yeah, so this is my story. The first question is, how did I know that I was pregnant? I didn't even know I didn't know I was pregnant up until I was 6 months pregnant. I think that was the time I found out that I was pregnant. All along I wasn't even aware, and I hadn't been going on my periods. But then the reason for me not really keeping up with that, checking on that or taking that seriously, was that I've always had a problem. I've always had an abnormality when it came to my period cycle, meaning that there were times whereby I'd go for I'd go twice within a month, and then there were times whereby I wouldn't go at all for 6 months or 4. And so for me it was normal, and I've tried going to the doctor for that. And then the last time I went to the doctor for that, he was like, I might be releasing a male hormone as well. So during the phase whereby I don't go to my periods, I might be releasing testosterone. Hi guys, at the same time, I just couldn't. And so I decided to oh, he also inquired. He also asked me about my family history, if there was anyone in the family who couldn't get abantwana and all that. And we had, from my mother's side, but genge, yeah. And so I think from that day I just concluded, you know what, I can't have kids. I actually concluded a lot of things, yeah, by myself. So yeah, and so what happened was that I didn't go for my periods for 4 months, and to me it was normal. I think it was 4 months or 5, I wasn't sure. So to me it was normal, it was totally normal, because I was used to it. And apparently this time and I remember one thing that made me suspicious, that made me suspect I was pregnant, was my weight gain. This one time whereby I had to go home just to run a few errands because I had some emergencies. So I went home, I did what had to be done, but this one time I had to go to labor department. And the next thing, my pants, guys, my boyfriend jean wasn't fitting at all, and I was like, there's no way that I could gain weight, man. Sing like down immediately. It was so weird. It was such a weird feeling. And I was like, I'm starting to think I'm pregnant. because I think before, if I suspected I was pregnant, that then share my stomach out, my stomach in, and I was like, I ain't right, use jude that. But yeah, I was lying to myself. That time around, I was pregnant, like I was really pregnant. So now what happened was that I remember praying, guys. I was home, Manguya, at night. I remember praying, and I was like, God, I know that you are a God who makes the impossible possible. There is a mother out there, there is a couple out there that has been praying for a child for as long as they could remember, and they can't like conceive. Maybe the mother can't conceive or something. So do your things, Lord. Make the impossible. Take this baby, like if there is a baby within you, please take it, transfer it through your Holy Spirit into the mother who has been praying for a child. But just make sure Guti, it is a mother, a responsible mother or responsible parents, because the last thing we need in our society is like a damaged generation. Although we have, but then we shouldn't contribute to it. The parents shouldn't contribute to it. Now, I prayed, guys. Those were my words. From my mouth to God's ears, okay. And then it started getting worse, guys. And I was like, you know what? Something is up. I texted my boyfriend and I was like, babe, something is up. Because my weight, I think you were right about my weight too. Something is wrong. This is not how I usually become physically when I am gaining weight. I know my body, and he was like, okay, it's fine, I'll go get a pregnancy test, and then if that's okay with you, I'll go get a pregnancy test, unless you want to do the test. And I was like, the last thing I need is for someone to suspect you, which as in I'm pregnant. So I was like, okay, on Friday I'll come. Immediately on Friday I'll come. I'll try by all means to finish whatever I have to do so that on Friday I come. And so, guys, that was the case. And then what happened? Okay, on Friday I went to Pretoria, but on my way there I bumped into guys, my aunt, and she was having questions, like she was asking me a lot of questions, and so I was like, yo, my assignment, and by the way, no one takes me seriously anymore. My assignment, because I got pregnant. My assignment, basically, it was always for my assignment. Hey, my products on my assignment, guys, have a corner, but okay. And then on a Friday, I went there, Manfiga. We just waited, we just chilled. Samela the following day in the morning. I couldn't sleep, guys. Literally from 1 o'clock up until 5. Sisters was up. And considering the fact that she slept around 11, I just couldn't sleep, guys. I was scared for my life. I was really scared, And so around 5, I woke my boyfriend up. I went to the toilet, took the urine got my urine, went back, and then we tried the test out. The first one, well, so the first one, guys. I don't know if I was, being as no good saying 2500. And then my boyfriend was like, the second one, it's fine. And then and then it didn't even take 2 minutes, guys, for you to at least get you online, and then a little bit blurry. No. it just went on straight on. Never positive. Yo, I cried. I literally cried. I just couldn't hold myself. And then my boyfriend was, I can't say he was chilled, but then at that time, I think one of us had to be strong. So yeah, well, he was a stronger one, okay, during that time. And yeah, and so hi guys, life went on. Later during the day, it changed. Yayenza Malina I too, and then I was like, fuck, this might be real. This might be serious. So guys, I was like, Masubuti, this thing might be serious. And then I was like, you know what, let's just relax for now. I'm a testanjani. They might not always be accurate. Who knows, there might be a mistake somewhere. So let's like wait for Monday, Zoya Itiniki, and then we'll confirm everything then. Guys, I think a part of me was in denial, and maybe it might have been for the longest time, because at first I started gaining weight I was gaining weight, and someone asked Uti, was I pregnant or whatsoever. Then I went on my periods, and then men jog guys. I was jogging, busy my green tea, alles yomkinto, lose weight. Basically, I actually bought myself a lot of even some few equipments just to help with weight loss, And even when my breast started changing, I suspected which maybe I might have encountered breast cancer, because I lost 2 of my loved ones to cancer. So I was like, maybe it's starting to be a family thing, But it wasn't even that. And okay, on a Monday I went to the clinic, and as I went there, I told the sister, sister, I'm here because I think I'm pregnant. And she was so nice. She was, when you're expecting someone to be rude to you, and instead acting at home, God bless that woman wherever she is, because wow, she actually changed my perspective. She had an influence towards my perspective changing that day. And guys, I remember the morning before I went to the clinic, I was considering termination, because I was coming from a point of view that I was scared. I mean, like the following year, this year was supposed to be my last year at school. And in my family they have hope until finally we are at the school after having lost abazali bakhe bonke. And during the time whereby usafunda esikolweni, she's at varsity, she's trying to hustle for a better life, for a better future. That was the situation. So I was really scared. They were going to shout at me, maybe some of them were going to give up on me. And I feel like there were only 2 people that I was more concerned about, my aunt and my uncle. I was more concerned of which part with him, because they've been on an emotional level, they've been there financially, more especially my uncle. He was there, he's been helping me out with paying my fees, And another thing was that I was, as I say, Uti, who's been helping me out to pay my fees, my rent. Sometimes I have days whereby I'll be like, because that was the situation. I am partially independent, meaning that I'm not yet fully independent. But then I was also trying on the side. I mean, like, I was doing promotions on the side to make money for myself. But then towards the end of the day, it wasn't enough, you know. So I was more concerned about that, and I was more concerned about the mere fact that my whole life was about to change, you know. It was about to change, and meaning that I have to now grow and get to that point whereby I am responsible for someone, whereby someone's life depends on me. You know, I am no longer in a way free, that free with I can go wherever I want, whenever I want. You know, a lot was going to change. I was going to experience the physical body changes, you know, like a lot of things. And I'm also one person who likes having control over her life. So I was scared that maybe I might get to that point whereby I lose control over my life. You know, I was scared. I was literally scared that my things might have gotten, we're going to get to that point. And I remember telling my boyfriend, he was there, he was present the entire time, and he was like, you shouldn't be that stressed. It's not like you are not going to go through this alone. We are going to go through this together. And I was like, it's not even about that. I want to be able to survive even when you decide maybe you can't be there for me and the baby and I anymore. You know, no. Those were not my words. I remember saying to him, I'm not really scared of you leaving. I'm more scared of myself. At some point, me not being able to survive the whole phase, you know, the whole motherhood phase, because it's such a life-changing thing. And I was like, I am so glad that you are with me by my side to hold my hand, and that we could go through this together. But then I also have to be mentally prepared as well, because, for example, what could happen if one day or during this phase in so you don't show up, or besides you showing up, what could happen if you don't make it home? How will I survive then? So I have to be mentally ready. I needed that mentally readiness of Uguti, whatever comes on the way, whatever consequences or whatever, towards the decision of keeping my baby, were I had to get to that point of Uguti. I had to be like strong mentally, on an emotional level. I had to be strong, you know, I had to be literally strong. And I remember before I went to the clinic, I remember looking at him as he was like getting ready for work, and I was like, in my mind I was like, I guess this is it. Like, it's peli kuzophela ngathi, because now I have to kuzophela ngathi, because now I'm thinking of aborting, I'm thinking of terminating, you know. And I remember we once had that conversation whereby we were talking about the baby termination stuff. I think it was at an initial stage whereby we had just started dating, and he was like, he's against it. He'd rather raise a child with whatever he has, even if maybe izinto empilweni azimhlanganelanga, you know, even if he's still hustling, even if it could happen, he's at a point whereby he's financially stranded, you know. Even if he was like to be in any worse position, he'd still take care of the child. And he made it straight. He made it clear with me, and hence I was like, I guess this is it. I think the best way is for me to like go to the clinic, confirm the months, and if possible, go to a place. Take the I had been saving money, which was supposed to go for my fees. Sometime I think it was sometime as we were still in second semester, and I was like, I have to finish my fees, but you know what, and I was like, you know what, I can take the money for my fees, the one that I've been saving for my fees, and then I can replace it later on, or maybe they'll assist me at home. So the best thing I could do for myself is to just take the money, go to a place whereby termination can be done. But then I think it was that sister's not a sister, it's a nurse, but then we call them sisters. So it was during that conversation with sister, like judging, I expected her to be rude, as I said, but then she handled, I think she approached me in a motherly manner. She had a conversation with me in a motherly manner, which changed my perspective, you know. And so she was like, it's packed. If I'm not feeling any pains, I should just go home and come back on Friday. And so when I got home, I had to get to that space whereby I eliminate everything and everyone and began in a situation, you know, and face the situation alone, because the changes were going to take place in my body, although it was going to be a life-changing situation, not only for me but for my partner as well, and my family. It was also going to have an effect on my family, like especially when they had their hope of Uti, you know what, 2020 she's going to be done with school, then she can like get a job, you know, and all those things. So I had to get to that point whereby I phase out the fact that I have disappointed my family, and the fact that well, my boyfriend would say that he's going to be there by all means. Not that I don't appreciate that, or not that I didn't appreciate that, but then guys, one has to be mentally strong before I decided to keep, before she decides to keep a pregnancy. I'm not saying you guys should terminate or whatsoever, but if the means sometimes don't allow you, I don't really have anything against termination, but then I'm actually not sure if I'd ever be able to like cope with the consequences afterwards, if there are any, or maybe the regrets afterwards, because I think at that time when I was considering termination, I was like, what would happen maybe if this was my last baby? I mean, maybe Nkulunkulu has placed it for me on earth to I'm only going to have one child, and the next thing I decide to do otherwise. You know, it was, I guess, I don't know if I should say I wasn't strong enough, or I wasn't strong enough to continue the termination. At some point, I also had to be like honest with myself, you know. I had to be honest with myself. And so I got to that phase whereby I checked on myself on an emotional level, and I was like, Lirato, are you sure that you want to bring a baby on this earth when you have no idea, when you don't have any idea about kids? You know, when you are one person at some point, or he's gotten to that point whereby are you sure that this is what you are willing to do to become a mother? You know, I had to ask myself those questions. And I remember when we were like buying the baby products, you know, I had nyana inalinyana, and I was like, you know what, I also want to contribute, I also want to help you out. That's what I said to my boyfriend. And I was like, I want us to do this together, although I'm not obviously going to meet you kuleyo level of ukuthi we go 50-50 or whatsoever, but the little that I have, because I felt like that was proof to myself ukuthi with or without him, then I would be able to manage. You know, I feel like as an izinto, you have to first get used to them, so that when people walk away or when something happens to the person who has been helping you out, you are able to survive, you are able to pick yourself, you know, up and continue with your life. So it was coming from that point, and I was like, I also want to contribute. So I am also going to take to like partake in the whole process of buying things for the baby, you know. And we worked together towards the entire process. We actually worked together. But then if ever there's one thing that I'm glad I learned at an initial phase, it was that I learned that one shouldn't have sex with someone or decide to keep a baby because just because someone said they should, just because there are external influences. I mean, maybe because she's scared or she believes Johnny will love her more, or don't, you know, all that kind of rubbish, you know. And so deciding to keep my child was my decision, was based on my decision. And another thing which scared me the most was that I believe I've seen mothers or examples of mothers that I didn't want to become, you know, because as much as we say that not every man can be a father, some are meant to be sperm donors. Women can also be egg donors as well. Women also can also harm the child, you know, even in their presence. So I had to make sure that I was mentally ready for anything that I was going to face afterwards due to my decision, you know. And so yeah, I guess that's it, guys. Until next time, please like, subscribe, and share your opinions. You know, let me hear about your experiences at an initial